Michigan's Children proudly presents Speaking for Kids, the podcast where we explore crucial conversations impacting the lives of all Michigan children, youth, and families, especially the most vulnerable. Join us each month as we explore public policies and issues in the best interest of our kids and families. We'll bring you lawmakers and policymakers, advocates fighting for change, and the people most affected by those decisions. With our host, Matt Gillard, President and CEO of Michigan's Children, we'll invite you to become engaged too and show you how to take action on what matters most to you. Episodes are recorded live and shared virtually on YouTube and the audio hosting sites Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify.
Hello, I'm Matt Gillard, the President and CEO of Michigan's Children, and welcome to another edition of Speaking for Kids, the podcast brought to you by Michigan's Children, where we bring issues of importance and timeliness to the audience to talk about things that are happening around kids and families. Well, I'm very excited today to have a topic that I think is very timely as we head into Father's Day weekend. We are recording this podcast on June 12th. And we're going to talk about the role of fathers in advocacy today and really, I think, the growing and emerging roles that fathers are playing in our advocacy efforts around kids and families issues. And so we're excited to have two very special guests, Michael Aaron Jr., who is the Public Health Program Coordinator for the Detroit Health Department's Maternal Child Health Division, as well as the Fatherhood Coordinator, and Willie Bell, who's the founder and CEO of the Family Assistance for Renaissance Men, more formally known as FARM. I'll allow the guests to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into our conversation. Michael, why don't you start?
Absolutely. Michael Aaron Jr., as Matt said, Fatherhood Coordinator here at the Detroit Health Department's Maternal Child Health Division, father of four. Just graduated an autistic son. Very excited about that. Very happy about that. Us getting through that process with him has been just a learning experience, definitely, as we talk about advocacy. But I'm just encouraged to be here. I've been working in this practice or in this field for as long as I can remember. Helping men, helping families has been something that's just been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. It's just been instilled in me to go out here and help men and help families and children who may need the help that we provide.
Excellent. And Willie, why don't you introduce yourself for our audience as well?
Yeah, thank you. Great to be here, and I appreciate the invite. Willie Bell with Family Assistance for Renaissance Men. Once again, I'm also a father of four, Brother Aaron, and I got four boys, and it's admirable to hear the work that you're doing and the challenges that you've gone through and you faced that you've overcome, right? So yeah, man, kudos to you, man, and the family. But yeah, we're a program designed to help fathers, primarily fathers, get back on track with their children. We help them with items like tickets, warrants, driver's licenses, child support payments. Who's helping with that, right? Getting back on track with their child support payments, because if they're not on track with their child support payments here in the state of Michigan, if a man is behind in child support, we all know that it spirals. He gets a felony non-support warrant on his back, driver's license is suspended from there. And then from there, you can't even get a job. But we help with all kinds of things. Mentoring is number one. We don't believe you can change a man unless you change his thinking. So we constantly harp on that through our 10-week program. We have a father-child relationship building events in the program as well, where we host events, taking them to Tigers games, Pistons, Lions, museums, zoo, things like that. We also have a third component, which is our workforce development and education part of the program. And so we make sure we give them a hands-on look at what fatherhood could, having dignity, I should say, giving them dignity, because without having something that they can do with their hands or physically do, then of course they lose a sense of pride. And then of course, don't have encouragement to go out there and get a job. So then we do job placement as well. The fourth component of the program is our legal assistance. And we have a relationship with 53 judges that work with us and work with these men, providing leniency when they're trying to do what's right, as well as 12 attorneys through our various partners. And we have social workers in the program with our partnership with Wayne State University School of Social Work interns.
That's great. Thank you. Well, thanks both for all the work that you do, but thanks especially as well for joining us today and taking a little bit of time out of your busy schedules and roles to talk about this for our audience. So, Michael, why don't we start with you? First question: what are some issues facing fathers today that maybe weren't as prominent just a few years ago?
I think specifically starting off, I think co-parenting is quite an issue currently. The relationships are just not holding up as they did in the past. The foundation, the village that once was there for our men is kind of decimating a little bit. It's being broken down. The leadership isn't there. Men aren't staying in position as leaders of families to lead their families. So these are issues that are currently hindering men, or one of the top issues that are hindering men. It's a relationship building. It's going through differences with someone and then finding a solution, a workable solution. And that is a part of our planning with our men, as Willie said, putting workshops and trainings and things like that together to help them understand how to make better decisions. And the bad thing about it is these are things that we were once taught as young kids, right? These are things that we were faced with. We had to make decisions, things of that nature. And nowadays, most parents are making decisions for their own children and not allowing their children to be thinkers, to think themselves through things. So now, as they become adults, it's pretty much the same thing. It's a temperament. I'm angry. I'm going to shoot out. I'm not going to think about the consequences surrounding this. So again, it's the educational component that we're trying to put down on our men to help them understand what they should be instilling in their children.
Absolutely. How about from your perspective, Willie? What are some issues that you're seeing that fathers are facing today that maybe weren't as prominent within these discussions a few years ago?
Yeah, well, I'm with Michael Aaron when it comes to the co-parenting piece. I think that co-parenting piece is huge, right? When you look back in history, you look back and you saw there were more fathers and mothers working together to raise the children. And so our foundation, we had a little better foundation. Even if they didn't work things out together, they still came together to work on being parents, good parents, make sure those children were taken care of. But that piece right there today is one where we've kind of lost it. We've lost our way. We've kind of gotten into a entitlement society kind of thing, and both sides are going their different ways, and they're forgetting about the importance of the kids and the fabric of those children's lives being moved forward to the next generation. So that piece right there is huge in our. We started our women's program, launched it last year for that very reason. It's called the Shine Program, supporting, harvesting, inspiring, nurturing, and empowering women. And but it mirrors the men's side of the program so that women also have a place to go when they're trying to turn things around and be better moms and co-parenting partners as well. So yeah, that subject right there, if we can work with that one and get more uh, men and women and mothers and fathers educated to work together and make them realize the importance of their co-parenting power, this world would be a much better place. So starting right here in our communities, Michigan, Detroit, all the surrounding areas. I'm applauding, Michigan children for your part in this as well as brother Aaron and all the others that are out here trying to make this our communities a better place through fatherhood and the work we're doing with co-parenting as well.
Absolutely. No, I think you're both spot on. I mean, that's the basis for all of this to work, right? If we have two parents that want to be a part of and supportive of raising their children, we need to figure out and be supportive as the rest of us who are trying to make this better to figure out how to make that happen for everybody. And I think that's the key component to it. All right, Michael, from your standpoint, how is the role of fathers really evolving when it comes to caregiving and child development? This is something that I've seen. I've been in the child advocacy world for quite a while now, and I've really started to see more and more engagement with fathers around early childhood issues, right? And caregiving and child development,
Mhm.
even at our youngest ages. But how do you see that evolving in your role?
Matt, throughout our history, we've seen the roles of men change, right? The man used to be the 10-hour, 12-hour a day worker. He'd be gone for the day at a warehouse, at a factory, wherever it was that he worked. He'd come home, he'd be tired, he'd be expecting a meal, be able to get his shoes, take his shoes off and relax for the rest of the day. But we know that those roles have drastically changed, right? He may work 10, 12 hours, but he won't come home because his wife has also worked 10, 12. So we got to have a conversation about who's going to make the meal tonight, right? So the dynamic has really changed in the household nowadays. I think men have to get back to that point of leadership, of being there, right? We have to be more than just the disciplinarian type person, right? We can be as valuable in the education of our children as their mothers. We influence our children very much. We are that mentor, that person that our children are looking up to. So if we're sitting down with our children and we're speaking to them about education, that's something that's going to be on their minds. But we right now we are so busy, right? We've got social things. We're looking as parents to better ourselves still, right? We're still doing all of these things, which is in turn taken away from us being able to sit down with our children, speaking with them, having conversations with them, reading books with them, things of that nature. So we've got to, again, we have to prioritize our children as men, as families. We have to prioritize our children, or we can see the results of not prioritizing our children with what's going on out in society nowadays.
Absolutely. Willie, what about your thoughts on this, on the evolving nature of fathers' roles in child development particularly?
Yeah, yeah. When you think about evolving, I mean, once again, Brother Aaron was right on with the lack of time being spent. But right there on the U.S. Census, it'll tell you all the different things that we're failing in, right? We're failing in spending time with our kids. And when we fail to spend time with our kids as fathers, they are worse off um, in school. They're not as successful. And let me flip it. Let me flip it around because I like to be more positive than more optimistic than negative. They are more successful individuals in life. They're more successful in school. They're better citizens after all when a father is contributed in their lives. And so when you look at those stats on the U.S. Census, where it tells you all those things that the children are not, because fathers aren't in their lives. And here's what I say to all of America, and even the world, the country, the world. I put it that way. Um, why are we having a greater conversation about elevating the father's position, in society, rather than demonizing him, rather than criminalizing him because he wasn't there, he didn't pay child support? What good does it do us if we're going to lock a man up, put him in jail, okay, and then say once he's released, go find some money and bring it back to court the next time you come to court? Well, first of all, when you've done that, you've stifled his ability to go get some money, earn money, and then you put him in a deficit from where he was before he even got to jail. So where is he going to get the money? He's got to try to dig himself out of a personal hole first, and then he's got to try to survive on his own. And by that time, then you get a job. The clock is still ticking. Okay. I had one of our graduates. He was one of the oldest graduates we had. He hadn't had his driver's license in 34 years, and he was a street mechanic. He would repair these cars, and he would end up getting pulled over, by the police because he maybe test driving the brakes or something that he may have fixed on it. Then they'll pull him over, and then realize he has a warrant out for his arrest for lack of child support payments. He goes to jail, spend a year or so in jail, comes back out. The clock is back ticking again. Okay, you got to go find some money. That warrant reappears on you when you come out of jail. If you haven't found any money, you haven't satisfied the court's demands. And then it would happen over and over again. He went to jail 3 or 4 times for the same thing, spent a year or so each time. And I've come right back out here and the clock is still ticking. He says, man, I can't keep living life like this. I can't keep living life like this. I need my driver's license. I need to get the child support arrears off my back and deal with that. Well, those are some of the things that we do. we go to bat for them, we advocate for them. When we realize what their character is, they come into the program, we go to the judges and then tell the judges, listen, this is what this man has been doing. Can you cut him some slack? And I'm happy to say that we're batting 1,000. There's not one judge that has not done anything for us, for these men, when they realize these men are sincerely trying. But you can't blame the court either, because if they don't have any advocates going before them, then how can they don't know what their character is. They don't know what these guys have been doing. They don't know who's sincere and who's not. And then there's no resources for them to go to when the judges are trying to make a decision. So the programs that Brother Aaron and I are doing, these are programs that are so important to all society. And why aren't we having a greater conversation about providing more of these services to our fathers, and where they're trying to do better?
No, yeah, I agree. And I think that speaks exactly to the role of why we need, or the reason for why we need more fathers involved on the advocacy side as well, because these are policy decisions. And you're right, we can't blame the courts under the way the courts are currently structured, but we can also advocate for better structures within our court systems and better policies that we can try to account for some of these things you're talking about, and to give fathers a better chance at emerging from past prior decisions, bad decisions that they may have made, and becoming more productive and available to be supportive of their kids and their families. And so, I think you're right, and it's great that there's advocates like you to help the folks that you're able to help. But I also think we need to get more fathers involved on the advocacy side to change these policies and practices to create a more just and fair system that allows fathers in general a better chance at success.
Yeah,
Matt,
well,
if I could jump in. Oh, go ahead,
Sure.
Willie. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Willie.
your turn, Brother Aaron.
Matt, no, I was gonna say, in addition to what Willie just spoke to, Matt, we are attempting to help our men understand how to get their voices heard, right? So we may have a few men who may have a gripe against a particular system, and we're trying to help them understand that raising your voice in regards to that system, that's good, but we need to find other men who are having the same issue with these systems, organize these men so that our voice can be more than the 3 or 4 men who are having issues. And I'll guarantee you, if you raise your hand or if you put some information out there saying, hey, if you have an issue with this system, get with us so we can try to, advocate for different things. You have an abundance of people who are raising their hand or sending information in saying, hey, yeah, I got that same issue. But what we're having is we're having an issue with assembly, with getting these guys together so that we can put our voices together and it can be a little bit louder than just Willie and myself.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, and that's what it takes, right? I mean, that's what advocacy is all about, is finding, and that's the way our government works, right? That's the way our system is supposed to work. Is you get people who feel a certain way about issues, and you get together and you convince the folks that have been elected that decide the decision makers to change those decisions or change those policies in a way that are more equitable and fair. So. Michigan's Children is all about that, and it's great to see that fathers are getting more engaged in the work that you guys are doing in the community to help that. Willie, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the way society looks at men and looks at fathers in general, right, is, you need to go figure it out. I don't care what your problems are. I don't care what your challenges are. Just figure it out and get over it and then make it happen. There's no magic wand when it comes to trying to make something happen, right? I mean, making it happen, yeah, you can go out there and sell some drugs. That's making it happen. Or, you can, go and do some crimes. That's making it happen, right? If you're going to force them to do something, and as Dr. Martin Luther King said, how can you tell a man with that's bootless to pull himself up by his bootstraps when you've provided them no boots to begin with? So, right. So, so why is society looking at men when we've gotten ourselves in a hole, and our laws also helps to exacerbate the situation when we've gotten ourselves in trouble? Number one, if a man did not have a father in his life when he was a boy, he is destined to get it wrong. He has to get it wrong. There's no other way for him to live. He's got to get it wrong because he wasn't taught how to do it right. He's on a search, he's on a path to try and do something, and he's only going off what the street is teaching them, what his boys out there and everybody else that didn't have fathers as well is doing it wrong. He's learning from them, so they're learning from each other. But
Yeah.
when you give a man an opportunity, a boy an opportunity starting out to become a man by examples and leadership and guidance, proper guidance, right? Then the society is much better when we've done that.
Absolutely. All right. No, that I couldn't agree more. All right. So what would you say, and Willie, let's start with you. What would you say to young or new fathers who feel uncertain about how to be actively involved? I'm a father of four as well. It's interesting to hear that both of you are as well, but we know, I mean, we certainly know as young fathers, I look back, it was a long time ago now when my oldest was young, but it's obviously a daunting situation, right? And something that causes a lot of different anxieties and feelings amongst fathers for certain. But what is your advice? What is your advice to young people, young fathers, on that want to be involved on how to stay actively involved with their families and with their children?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would say, find positive voices. Do not find yourself hanging out with those of them that when you know you're doing something, they're already doing something wrong. Why hang out with those of them that you know are doing something wrong? Right. So if you're a young father, those guys and those groups of people that's out there doing the wrong things, they can't teach you anything but to do wrong, right? So find some positive, role models. Seek them out. They're out here. Me and Mike Aaron, who are out here, and some of the other organizations and programs, they're out there. But steer clear of those issues and challenges. It's going to take you down a hole that you're going to regret, and then your children are going to suffer for it because you made the poor decision to take and do some things that you shouldn't have done. I mean, I applaud some of those guys who are out there really hustling, cutting grass, cutting hair, trying to be an entrepreneur because they found themselves stuck in a situation where the child support scenario took everything they had, and there's no other recourse for them except for to go try to survive. Okay, so I applaud those guys, but at the same time, we as society, we got to find more opportunities for these guys to give them wipe away any excuses that they may have for doing anything wrong, and society is better off as a result.
Absolutely. Michael, how about from your perspective? What do you say to young or new fathers who might be feeling a little bit uncertain about how to be actively involved with their kids and families?
Well, one thing we want to help them understand that what they're feeling is a natural emotion, right? Especially when you haven't been in that position previously. You hadn't been a dad before, right? Didn't see or identify with anyone in your household as a dad, so you kind of really trying to figure this out on the fly, right?
Yeah,
We want them to reach out for resources. Willie Bell, myself, other organizations that we know provide resources for men. You have to reach out to them, even though that's not a strength of men. To have a need and say, hey, raise their hand and say, hey, can someone help me? It's not a strength of us, but what we have to understand is we want to bring ourselves back to a position of strength, right? And we can't do that sitting on our hands. We can't do that not asking questions or not seeking guidance. We have to be sponges in this moment, especially if you haven't been a dad before. You got to be a sponge to learn and get this education that men are trying to put out here to you. But then we also have to look at, from a moral standpoint, look at how you felt as you were growing up without a dad, if that was what it was, and how you felt as a kid. And then don't allow your kid to feel that way. And then now, if you did have a dad in your life who was a role model and a mentor to you, someone who showed you all the things, taught you how to fish, took you on trips, things of that nature, reciprocate that. Make sure your son and or daughter feels the same way. Because again, at the end of the day, it's about the children. It's about the children. It's about the outcomes of these children. What will they be after we've given them and poured everything that we poured into them? What will they be? What type of adults will they be? And we're hoping that they will be movers and shakers in society.
Absolutely. And I think the most important thing I want to make sure that young or new fathers here that might be listening to this podcast today is that there's groups and organizations and people out there rooting for you and that want to help you. And there is opportunities for people to get engaged and to stay engaged, and a whole lot of folks who care about you and want to see you be successful in this new role that you're finding yourself in. All right. Well, any last words, Michael or Willie, before we wrap up here? All
yeah.
right,
So
gentlemen.
Willie, you want to go?
Go ahead.
We got last words, Matt. We both have.
I
We both.
bet you do.
Well, I'll just say, young man, even a young lady that might be watching this, there is help out here. There's people that care, that really want to see you succeed. We understand the reason why myself, and I believe also Brother Aaron is, are passionate about what we're doing is because we've been through some things as well. We've seen some things. We've, been challenged in the ways that you guys have been challenged, many of you out there. But there's hope, and don't give up hope. Continue seeking out. And one of the things that I tell you that helped me was finding my moral compass. I started going to church. I started learning some principles. I heard the man upstairs tell me, now that I've blessed you and showed you how to be a better man, even though you didn't have a father in your life, now I want you to write a program to help other fathers out there be better fathers, like I've made you a better father. And so I wrote this program. And then after writing the program, then now I'm able to see the fruits of the labor of all these men who were once like me and once like other fathers and once like you that's listening, to get it back right. And so find a program like mine, Brother Aaron's programs, and we're here for you. So, and I'm sure you got a website, Brother Aaron, as well. Toss it to you.
Yeah, Matt, I would agree wholeheartedly with Willie. Seek out the resources. As men, let's reestablish ourselves as leaders of our household, leaders of our communities, leaders of education, things of that nature. Right. This is our natural position to be at the head of the hierarchy of a household. Right. So we have to understand that we have to re-educate our men and help them realize their role. Right. And then help them figure out a way to stay there, which is the most difficult piece. Again, Matt, we're about the holistic appeal of men, right? So not only do we supply the resources that we supply here at the Fatherhood program with the Detroit Health Department, but then we have connecting pieces as well, right? We will connect them to farm. We'll connect them to other programs that we know service men, but then we also have that supplementary component with our Safe Sleep and our Sister Friends programs here at Maternal Child Health. If you go to the City of Detroit's Health Department's website and you look up maternal child health, you'll see each one of those programs. And we try to introduce people to those programs so that we can have babies that are full term, that are healthy birth weights, that are healthy children is our goal. And that's what we're pushing for. And we're doing that through education, workshops, training, so on and so forth. I appreciate you having me here, Matt. This is just a great opportunity to let individuals know what we're doing, why we're doing it, and who we're serving. And here at the City of Detroit Health Department, we are really extending our arms to men within the City of Detroit and telling them we are here for you.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank Michael Aaron Jr. and Willie Bell for joining us today to discuss this very important topic. But more importantly, I want to thank them for the work that they're doing every day in their communities and for fathers around the state of Michigan and helping them be a better, more active and successful participant in raising their kids and in their families' lives. And so thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this edition of Speaking for Kids, a podcast brought to you by Michigan's Children, and please tune in again next time for another exciting discussion around an interesting topic for kids and families. You can find more information about the programs that these gentlemen are running on our website at michiganschildren.org. Thanks and have a good day.
You've been listening to Speaking for Kids, the podcast for Michigan's Children with host Matt Gillard. Thanks for joining us. To explore these and other issues relevant to our state's children, youth, and families, and to build your advocacy muscle, go to our website at www.michiganschildren.org. You'll find links and news about past and future podcast topics under our Resource tab and action alerts under the Take Action tab. Find and like us on Facebook and Twitter. And Stephen Wallace produced this podcast. Contact them with your questions and ideas for other topics. Michigan's Children is a nonprofit advocacy organization, an independent voice working to reduce disparities in child outcomes from cradle to career through policy change.